Oh, alright, here we go again. Welcome to this Naginata uniform tutorial. If you're watching this from outside the Naginata Club, hi. I'm May. I'm the president of McGill Naginata as of the filming of this video. Since we've had a lot of beginners come in who haven't really had the chance to do a lot of in-person practices, I figured it'd be a good idea to film this video and give a little bit of a tutorial on how to properly put on a Naginata uniform. So there's three main parts to a Naginata uniform. There's the gi, which is the white shirt-like top. There's the obi, which is kind of a belt that goes around the waist. And there's the hakama, which is the black skirt-looking bottom part. So beginners probably won't have to worry about the obi so much. As of right now, I'm pretty sure I'm actually the only person in McGill Naginata who has an obi. But it's more for like, you know, people who have decided that they want to do Naginata a lot more and they want to have a more complete uniform. So, you know, I'm gonna put it in the video anyway, but it's not something that you need as a beginner per se. Alright, let's get started. Oh, one more thing. So as you can see, I'm wearing a shirt and shorts. This is not typical for Naginata. Typically you just, you know, wear your underwear. But I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes because I don't want to be in my underwear on camera. So let's get into it then. A bit more center frame. So the first part of the uniform that you're going to put on is the gi. Honestly, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. It's basically just like a shirt, except you know, one side of it crosses over to the other. You'll also have to tie it together with some straps that come with the gi. So for a lot of beginners, they first order their gi and the straps are down here, right, like on the kind of bottom left side of the gi. That is not correct typically. Ideally you would want to put the, you know, take the straps off of here and move them up to here. Right, so that's typically where the knot is for Naginata gi, at least. So yeah, I mean, the gi is a pretty easy piece of clothing. I will put it on now. Alright, so now that the gi is done, we can move on to the obi. Well, as you've noticed, the gi kind of goes one side over the other. This is going to be, you're going to put your right side down first and the left side over top of it. Although, from the way the gi is made, I feel like this won't be much of an issue. So yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Alright, moving on. So the next piece of the uniform is the obi. So beginners don't really have to worry about their obi too much. It's more for people who have done Naginata for a couple years and want to kind of complete their uniform. But I'm going to put it in the video anyway, because why wouldn't I? I have one. So it's also not that hard, I think. It's basically just like a big strip of fabric that you wrap around your waist. So a couple things to note about that is that you want the top of the obi to be where the top of your hakama would be, right? So the hakama should go about an inch or so above your belly button, somewhere around that range. So the top of the obi should be here as well. So the way you put on the obi is pretty simple. You find the halfway point, you put that on the halfway, on the kind of like the center of your body. You wrap it around, pull it tight, and you tuck the excess cloth into the obi itself so that it doesn't show. Alright. Alright, so now that that's done, we can finally move on to the last and the most intimidating part of the Naginata uniform, which is the hakama. So a couple of basic things about the hakama. There is a front part and a back part. The back part is the one with kind of like this kind of trapezoid shaped piece of hard material. That piece is going to go right up against the small of your back. If you have an obi, it's basically just going to go on top of the obi as well. And so that's how you start by putting on your hakama. You line up the back of the hakama, the hard part, with the small of your back. And you take the straps, the himo, that are connected to the back, that back part of the hakama. You tie them up behind your neck. So this way, we can tie the rest of the hakama without having to worry about the back part of it falling down. So let me just do that real quick. Now that I have the back part of the hakama tied and keeping level with the back of my back, now that I look like a fucking moron, I can show you now how to tie the front part of it. So you're going to take this front bit, find the center of it, line it up with your obi and with the kind of like, 1 inch above your belly button, and you're going to take the straps on either side, wrap them around, and tie them. It's a bit more complicated than that. I'll explain once I do it myself. So, a couple things to know about tying this hakama, well, about tying the front straps. When you go around the back, you want the straps to be at the base of the kind of hard plastic bit at the back. So if you're too high or too low, that's not going to look proper. So it should be right along the bottom edge of this hard bit. The second thing, which you might have seen, is that I take the straps after I've tied them around once. I take the rest of it, tuck it into the actual hakama itself through this little hole, and tie it into a knot behind my back. So that's how it stays up. Alright, so once you've done that, just do a quick check. Make sure you don't see any white bits leaking out through the straps here. And on the side, try and make sure that the straps are also where they should be in one line. And now we go on to the fun part, which is the front knot. So this one is pretty important because it determines the way the front of your uniform looks, and that's going to be important for when you do grading, or go to a taikai. So there are different ways that people will tell you to do this one. I assume everyone has their own different way of doing it, but I'm going to show you the way that I do it. So I'm gonna. That's awkward. I'll note to self, mirror this footage in post. Shit, I have a fucking mic stand. What am I doing? Microphone boom arm activate. All right, so you're gonna take your two straps. What I usually do is I take the right one, cross it over all the way. I take the left one, put it on top. Once it gets to about halfway, I stop. I get my finger underneath all the himo that are in the front of the hakama, and I take this left strap, and it goes down and under all of that, and it comes out the top like this. Alright, so once you've done that, then you have your top strap. You have one strap which is up here, going vertically, and you have another strap down here, which is going horizontally. So from here, you take this horizontal strap, you cross it over, you take the vertical strap, you bring it down like this, like a kind of plus sign, I guess. The vertical strap again was going to go up through this hole here. You're going to tie a little knot, and when you pull it together, you should have this neat little rectangle in the front of your hakama. Alright, so give that a little tug, make sure it's tight, and as for the rest of this, you can tuck it into the side of your hakama. So, just like that. Same thing for the other side. And there you go. So before you go off to do practice, make sure your uniform is neat, Make sure there's no whites peeking through the straps of the hakama. Make sure there's no white peeking through here as well. That's not really a good sign. Make sure this front knot is nice and tidy. And there you go. Congratulations on learning how to put on your gi and hakama. You will also need to learn how to fold your hakama, which is not a video that I'm going to make. Goodbye.